Hey, Heartroom friends. We're reading Little House in the Big Woods. One morning, Pa went away before daylight with the horses and wagon, and that night he came home with a wagon load of fish. The big wagon was piled full, and some of the fish were as big as Laura. Pa had gone to Lake Pepin and caught them all with a net. Ma cut large slices of flaky white fish without bone for Laura and Mary. They all feasted on the good, fresh fish. All they did not eat fresh was salted down in barrels for winter. Pa owned a pig. It ran wild in the big woods, living on acorns and nuts and roots. Now he caught it and put it in a pen made of logs to fatten it up. He would butcher it as soon as the weather was cold enough to keep the pork frozen. Once in the middle of the night, Laura woke up and heard the pig squealing. Pa jumped out of bed, snatched his gun from the wall, and ran outdoors. Then Laura heard the gun go off once, twice. What do you think it was? When Pa came back, he told what had happened. He had seen a big black bear standing beside the pig pen. What do you think the bear was going to do? The bear was reaching into the pen to grab the pig, and the pig was running and squealing. Pa saw this in the starlight, and he fired quickly. But the light was dim, and in his haste, he missed the bear. The bear ran away into the woods, not hurt at all. Laura was sorry Pa did not get the bear. She liked bear meat so much. Pa was sorry too, but he said, "Anyway, I saved the bacon." The garden behind the little house had been growing all summer. It was so near the house that the deer did not jump the fence and eat the vegetables in the daytime, and at night Jack the Brindle Bulldog kept them away. Sometimes in the morning there were little hoof prints among the carrots and cabbages, but Jack's tracks were there too, and the deer had jumped right out again. Now the potatoes and carrots, the beets and turnips and cabbages were gathered and stored in the cellar, for freezing nights had come. Onions were made into long ropes, braided together by their tops, and then they were hung in the attic beside the wreaths of red peppers strung on threads. The pumpkins and the squashes were piled in orange and yellow and green heaps in the attic's corners. The barrels of salted fish were in the pantry, and yellow cheeses were stacked on the pantry shelves. Then one day Uncle Henry came riding out of the big woods. He had come to help Bob butcher. Ma's big butcher knife was already sharpened, and Uncle Henry had brought Aunt Polly's butcher knife. Near the pig pen, Pa and Uncle Henry built a bonfire and heated a great kettle of water over it. When the water was boiling, they went to go kill the hog. A hog is another name for a pig. Then Laura ran and hid her head on the bed and stopped her ears up with her fingers so she could not hear the hog squeal. "It doesn't hurt him," Laura Pa said. "We do it very quickly." But she did not want to hear him squeal. In a minute she took one finger cautiously out of an ear and listened. The hog had stopped squealing. After that, butchering time was great fun. It was such a busy day with so much to see and do. Uncle Henry and Pa were jolly, and there would be spare ribs for dinner, and Pa had promised Laura and Mary the bladder and the pig's tail. As soon as the hog was dead, and Pa and Uncle Henry lifted it up and down in the boiling water till it was well scalded, then they laid it on a board and scraped it with their knives, and all the bristles came off. After that they hung the hog in a tree, took out the insides, and left it hanging to cool. When it was cool, they took it down and cut it up. There were hams and shoulders, side meat and spare ribs and belly. There was a heart and the liver and the tongue and the head to be made into head cheese, and the dishpan full of bits to be made into sausage. The meat was laid on a board in the back door shed, and every piece was sprinkled with salt. The hams and the shoulders were put to pickle in a brine, for they would be smoked, like the venison in the hollow log. "You can't beat hickory cured ham," Pa said. We'll stop there and we'll read what exciting thing happens for Laura and Mary tomorrow.